Texas hit pause on AI. Sort of. Hey, I'm Mike Hamilton, and Texas just did something that tells you more about where AI is headed than almost any new chatbot model release or Silicon Valley demo this week. Texas hit pause on a whole lot of proposed data center connections. Not because Texas suddenly became anti-business. No. Not because everybody woke up one morning and decided computers were all bad. And not because the AI boom is over. Dear God. Texas hit pause because the people building all these giant AI data centers have finally run into something that does not care about hype, investor calls, or a really good keynote presentation. Electricity and water and roads and actual people who live near these things. This is a Texas story, but it's also the future of AI everywhere. Because for the last few years, AI has mostly been presented to us as software. Chatbot, a chat box, an image generator, a voice that can read your text messages in a tone that's a little too cheerful. But AI is not just software anymore. AI is power plants, transmission lines, cooling systems, land deals, tax abatements, massive buildings full of computers, water use, noise, jobs, and eventually somebody's electric bill. In Texas, we're getting a front row seat. Okay. Here's the plain English version. Governor Greg Abbott directed the Public Utility Commission of Texas and ERCOT, the folks who manage most of the power grid, all of it, to audit proposed large load projects seeking to connect to the grid. Most of these projects, well, they're data centers. ERCOT officials said the audit could involve roughly 250 to 300 projects, and the future power demand associated with the projects being audited is around 200 gigawatts. Now, a gigawatt, it's not just a number most of us casually use, right? Nobody says, honey, grab milk, eggs, and 3 gigawatts on the way home. So here is the part that matters. That projected demand is more than twice ERCOT's peak demand record from last month. Now, that doesn't mean all those data centers will get built. A lot of proposals are speculative. Some, well, they're just placeholders. Some may never even make it past the first serious financial conversation. But it does mean that, on paper, companies have requested enough power to make the people responsible for keeping Texas air conditioners running say, oh, okay, we need to see some paperwork. Now, this is not anti-AI. This is basic adult supervision. And frankly, it's overdue. A data center, it's basically just a very large building full of computers. Now, that sounds simple because it is simple. But these are not computers sitting under your desk in 1998 with a CD-ROM drive and a sticker that said, Intel inside. These are thousands of expensive, power-hungry machines running all day, every day. They train AI models, they answer AI questions, they store cloud files, they run videos, search, banking, social media, streaming, and every other thing we have somehow decided, well, that needs an app. AI makes that demand grow even faster because creating and running advanced AI models, well, it takes a tremendous amount of computing power. And that computing power, well, it needs electricity and a lot of it. So when you hear the AI race, don't picture just OpenAI, Google, Anthropic, Meta, Microsoft, and a room full of people looking at charts. Picture giant warehouses, generators, fiber lines, cooling equipment, and a utility company trying to figure out whether the grid can handle all of it on a 108-degree August afternoon. That's the real AI race. Texas has been selling itself as the place for this. We have land, we have lots of room. We have an independent power grid for most of the state. We have energy expertise. We have business-friendly environment. And we have major tech cities in Austin, Dallas, Fort Worth, Houston, San Antonio, and everywhere in between that is suddenly getting a phone call about strategic computing campus. And the big companies, well, they've noticed. Google announced a huge Texas investment that includes data center development. Companies building AI hardware are expanding here. AI labs are leasing capacity here. Former Bitcoin mining sites are becoming AI data center sites because they already have what everybody else wants: land, power, and infrastructure. That is where this gets especially interesting. A company called Riot, best known for Bitcoin mining, has been shifting towards AI and high-performance computing. It has a big Texas footprint and recently announced a long-term deal involving 191 megawatts of capacity for Anthropic. That's not a small side project. That's a major AI company looking at Texas power and saying, yes, we need some of that. And Texas companies are looking back and saying, we would like to sell it to you, but we would also like the lights to stay on for everyone else. That is the whole argument. Here's the catch with data centers. Companies talk about jobs, tax revenue, investment, and the future. And some of that is real, right? Construction takes people, electrical work takes people, manufacturing equipment takes people, operations take people. Tax revenue can help communities if the deals are structured really well, but data centers are not necessarily giant long-term employers in the way a car plant, hospital, refinery, university, or major warehouse can be. They are capital intensive. That means a lot of money goes into the building and equipment. It does not always mean a lot of permanent jobs once the thing is running. And there's some more questions. How much power is it going to use? Where will that power come from? How much water will it use for cooling? What kind of cooling will it use? Will it generate noise? Duh. Will it affect nearby property owners? Will it receive tax breaks? And who owns it? And if it needs more grid infrastructure, well, who's going to pay for that? Because economic development, it's great until the economic development part gets subsidized by people who did not get invited to the meeting. A lot of this friction is happening in rural Texas. And I mean, that makes sense. If you need a huge amount of land, room for power infrastructure, and enough space that nobody complains about a building being ugly, well, they really should, but you don't always put it in the middle of downtown Austin. You go where there's land, right? But rural communities are not empty squares on a developer's map. They have water concerns. They have roads. They have families. They have ranches. They have farms. They have schools. They have hospitals, volunteer fire departments, and people who are rightly tired of being told that a giant project is good for them before anybody explains what it's going to cost them. And some Texas communities have really started pushing back. They're worried about water use, noise, light pollution, air pollution from backup generation, higher power costs, and the simple fact that a building the size of several football fields is not exactly a subtle addition to the neighborhood. Now, that's not anti-technology. That's asking a very old Texas question. Who's paying for this? This issue has gotten politically awkward in a big hurry. Governor Abbott has been very supportive of bringing AI investment to Texas. He's called Texas an epicenter of AI development. Then he ordered this audit and verification process. Now, President Trump, he criticized the move, arguing that communities that want data centers should be able to have them because there's money involved. And regular Texans are saying, okay, but we would like to know what this does to the power grid and our water and everything else before we hand over the keys. That's the important part. This is not a simple left versus right story. You can be pro-business and still want the math to work. You can be excited about AI and still not want a data center to arrive next door with a 3-page brochure and a 40-year tax exemption. You can want jobs and still want power reliability. Those things are not opposites. They're the actual work. All right, quick break. If you're trying to make sense of AI without getting buried under a pile of buzzwords or talked into buying 14 tools you don't need, come join us at UXAI. YOUXAI is a one-day summit coming up September 12th in Waco, Texas. It's built for founders, creators, marketers, and business owners who want practical answers about how AI fits into real work. Not theory, not the robots are coming. There's real people showing what they are building, what's working, what the catches are. And there's an AI track, a creator track, hands-on sessions, and a room full of people trying to figure out how to use this stuff without losing the part that makes their work human. Your experience is the big multiplier. AI, well, that's the accelerant. Now, you can get tickets and details at youxai.live. I would love to see you there. All right. Now, back to Texas and the very expensive computer warehouses. So, what should Texas do? First, we need to verify the projects. That one is the obvious one. If a company says it needs a massive amount of power, we need to know whether it is a real customer, real financing, real construction plan, and a real need, or whether it's reserving capacity because somebody thinks they might be able to flip the project later. Second, we need to ask for transparency. If a project wants tax breaks, public infrastructure, power connections, and local cooperation, people should know who owns it, how much power it expects to use, how much water it needs, and what is it doing to reduce local impact. That should not be controversial. Third, connect big power users to big power solutions. If a data center needs enough electricity to matter to the entire grid, then the company should be a part of the answer. Bring generation, bring storage, build the transmission. Agree to reduce usage during emergencies, if that's even technically possible. Don't show up with a demand forecast and then act surprised when ERCOT asks where the electrons are coming from. Fourth, you probably need to make sure communities get a real deal, not just a ribbon cutting, not just a press release saying billions invested, a real deal. Local jobs where possible, workforce training, infrastructure upgrades, water protections, community input. Clear requirements around noise and roads and environmental impact. And no blank check tax breaks just because somebody said AI in a conference room. Now, if you're watching this and thinking, well, Mike, I use ChatGPT to help write an email. Why am I suddenly supposed to know about substations? Well, I understand that, but this matters because AI is leaving the screen. It's becoming physical. The cost of AI is not just a monthly subscription. It's power, it's land, it's materials, it is water. It's the people building the infrastructure, and eventually it's policy. Now, it doesn't mean you should stop using AI. Dear God, no. It means we should stop talking about AI like it appears by magic every time somebody types a prompt. There's a whole industrial system behind that answer, and Texas, well, it's becoming one of the places where the bill is coming due. I don't think Texas should say no to AI. That would be dumb. The technology is here. The investment is here. And those jobs, well, they're here because the opportunity is here. But I also don't think Texas should say yes to every giant project before asking some very basic questions. The best version of this is not no data centers. It's more like better data centers. Projects that are actually real, projects that pay their way, projects that don't push costs on to regular Texans, and projects that create actual value for communities. Oh, and projects that understand that Texas has learned, sometimes the hard way, that electricity, it's not an abstract idea. It's air conditioning in August. It's hospitals staying on. It's a family's power bill. It's whether your business can open tomorrow. And again, it's not anti-business. It's not anti-progress. That is the price of doing progress right. Now, if this helped explain what's really happening with AI and data centers in Texas, would you hit like, subscribe, and maybe turn on some notifications? And leave me a comment. Would you want one of these data centers near you if the deal was good enough? What would you need to see before you said yes? Also, try to subscribe to my daily newsletter at thatmikehamilton.com. It's practical AI, tech, tools, and creator business advice for people who remember dial-up without the hype and without acting like you need to become a programmer by Friday. Oh, and I wrote a book. It's called Make the Show. If you have been meaning to start a podcast, a YouTube channel, a video series, or any creative project you keep putting off, well, then Make the Show is built to help you stop waiting for perfect and start making something. Find the book and join the daily newsletter at thatmikehamilton.com. I am That Mike Hamilton. Thanks for watching. Stay curious, keep a hand on the wheel, and I'll see you next time.